Welcome to the show, everyone. This is the Sustainable Tech Leader, and I'm excited to introduce today's guest, my previous QA manager, Lee Whiting, now head of QA at my last company, and honestly, one of the most positive people I've had the pleasure of working with. He's someone with a huge can-do attitude and who has made a massive impact in such a short space of time. During his time leading QA whilst we worked together, Lee scaled both the hardware and software teams. Really, he did so many different things, building out test labs. He tackled some of the biggest challenges from tier one retailers who needed our products testing across hardware, software, firmware, and across a wide variety of retail store formats, which is not a small undertaking. So Lee was a busy man. Through all of that, though, what stood out for me was not just Lee's technical experience and leadership experience, but his energy, his positivity, and the way he built a culture of possibility. Lee was someone I hugely valued working with, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. So, Lee, welcome to the Sustainable Tech Leader podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that very kind introduction.
No problem at all. It's all true. Honestly, every single word is true. So Lee, I really wanted to start the show off by exploring a bit about your path. So, your path into QA and what really led you into leadership roles.
Yeah, interesting. So I never actually started out as a QA engineer. Well, I didn't want to be a QA engineer. So I was into web design. I was studying for that, and I took on a temporary job to be a QA tester for a short period.
Okay.
But I ended up falling in love with that role because, the way I see it is you're the last line of defense before the customer gets the product.
Yeah.
And after a year, I was promoted to a team lead. And ever since then, I've been in a leadership position, basically. So we're 12 plus years now. I haven't actually looked, but 12 plus
Wow.
years now of leadership roles. So yeah, it was really good. And I always remember that first leadership moment, actually, when I first received my team and a feeling of panic kind of washed over me. I ran to the toilets and sat there for 5 minutes and sort of had a breather and calmed myself down. And that's actually been a technique going forward. If anything ever gets a bit too hard or whether just take five,
Yeah.
everything's going to be fine. You'll get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so truly. I mean, I think when I think about QA and I think about partnering with QA, you are the last line of defense. And actually, you're the gatekeeper. So it's not only quite a challenging role, there's a lot of accountability that sits with the QA department and then therefore your team. So yeah, it's not a small undertaking. So no wonder you felt like that. Lee, so just thinking about that career move that you made, what have you learned about working with people, especially when you work in a fast and stressful environment?
I think ultimately we all want the same things. We want to deliver the product in our various roles, and we all want it to be of high quality, right? None of us want to annoy the customer. Everyone I've worked with, I've been fortunate, has the customer at the front of their mind. And I think it's about compromise. It's about, finding ways you can work together. A bit of an example, actually, that's nothing to do with tech, nothing to do with how things are work related. My
Yeah.
partner the other day, I was sat down and I was blocking the door. I was sitting on my dining room table. I wanted to see the TV in the living
Okay.
room. So she asked me to move seats. Well, the problem isn't where I was sitting. It was there was no room between the chair and the walkway. Instead of move seats, I moved the table so that I can still see the TV and she can walk past the walkway. So it's kind of finding that what's the real issue? How do we compromise? How do we work together to get this done? And there's always something, everyone has a different approach, but you can work together to get the result you're after.
Yeah, what a brilliant example, right? Because that means you're really outcome driven, right? What is the problem, not how are we going to get there? So yeah, it sounds like you sound using those techniques at home as well as at work,
Yeah.
and it's serving you well. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Lee. And when you think about your team, I'm just thinking that's great for you, and you're very outcome driven, but really, how do you get your team to operate in that way?
I think it's all about bringing people on the journey with you. So, as a leader, I think your main goal is to kind of have that vision. You know how to get there, and you need to sell that vision to your team. But not just that. It's not just about telling people what to do and here you take this and you take that. It's how do we work as a team to get to this goal and bring their input in.
Yeah,
Get their buy-in. If you get their buy-in, they feel like they're part of that planning process. They're 100% in.
yeah.
Um, that's it really. It's not that difficult. It probably is difficult when you break it down into its smaller details, but at the high level, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think buy-in is such an important part of it, isn't it? Because if somebody doesn't feel bought into the decision or it's imposed upon them, actually that ends up becoming a fast decision, but then it comes in basically bites you in the arse later because people don't understand the rationale behind what you're about to do. So yeah, that makes total sense. I'm just thinking in terms of now proud moments. So we've talked about stressful moments, but when you think back at building your team, what's one moment that made you really proud as a leader?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to a previous company for this example.
Okay.
I was very, very young, um, and I was asked to set up a test team in another country. So it was Brazil and India.
Mm-hmm.
And I flew out for a young guy. I can't believe I was the person asked to do this,
Yeah.
and hired people in Brazil, set up a team, set up an office, did the same
Wow.
in India, came back to the UK and managed those remotely. But what that actually did was it was my first chase the sun model.
Ah,
So, I'd wake up in the morning and I'd start work. I'd be in communication with the guys in India. They would sign off, they would hand over to us. And then in the afternoon, Brazil would come online and we would hand over to them, and then they would hand over to India. So instead of this 8 hour window of quality, you have a
mm,
24-hour window of quality. You can get so much done. And that was my proudest moment, I think.
yeah. What parts of that made you specifically proud?
Going there, setting everything up, meeting the team, spending months with them. I actually learned quite a lot of Portuguese
Yeah, I can
during this trip.
imagine.
I lost it
Yeah.
over time. I've lost it, but I was basically speaking Portuguese by the end of it. Um, getting those people together, brand new people, training them up on the fly, getting them used to systems, and then just being in constant communication when I came back.
Yeah.
And nobody in our company, in the UK sort of division of our company, had anything like that. And it was
Wow.
just absolutely
Gosh.
brilliant. Yeah.
And then you did the same in India. So you did
Yeah.
Brazil and then
Yeah.
you did the same in India. That's a
Yeah.
lot of your time. And actually that there's so much in that because when you spend a significant amount of time with people, that's kind of when you build that level of trust as well, I imagine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Okay, and then opposite to that, Lee. So when we think about leadership and all the challenges that it does bring, what's one tough moment you faced and how did you handle it without burning out yourself or your team?
Yeah, so this was a really, really tough one, and this is a different role for a different company. But we had to scale up rapidly. We were facing some massive, massive issues, and I had to hire 20 people in 2 months. Now, imagine the scaling up of that.
Yeah.
Imagine having to pair two new people with one sort of senior
Mm.
person just to get them onboarded quickly. That was the toughest time I've ever had. And I was also out of the country during this whole thing.
Oh gosh.
So it was, yeah, it was
Wow.
the toughest time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to even logically think about or logistically think about how you recruit on board successfully, right? Because doing things at
Yeah.
pace, you're bound to compromise something along the way. So yeah, how did you manage to recruit at that pace?
An extremely rigorous probationary period. Like
Okay.
you had to be very short, and then if people didn't sort of make the cut, we try our best obviously to help
Mm,
people along, but if they weren't right for the role, we had to be quite strict with that. And
mm,
then not just hiring externally because that's a very slow process and expensive.
yeah.
We hired internally. So we took people
Ah.
from factories and all this sort of place. Do you want a role in QA? Do you want to get into tech?
Mm,
With the potential of moving into development, that was
mhm,
a career path we'd already laid out. Uh, so yeah, we kind of invited people in, gave them, proficiency tests and all that sort of stuff.
mm.
Joined QA, did well during your probationary period, you're in the team, and that's how we scaled up.
Yeah, that's interesting because actually you're right. Doing QA promotions internally, if you've got the domain knowledge, you know how the product works, that can actually definitely be a win, I think, at times. So
Yeah,
yeah,
our team was so good. We had something we called it the QA Academy. We would actually bring new developers into the team to spend a few weeks with QA to learn the
yeah,
product,
yeah.
to learn how we tested it, so that they went into dev after that short period of time and
Mm,
took that sort of idea of testing. They knew the pain points we were
mm,
feeling, and they kind of, everyone helped boost quality that way.
yeah, no, that's brilliant. I'm just trying to think a bit more laterally. So how much did you bring automation into that? So I think headcount is one thing, but yeah, what was your view from an automation perspective?
Every automation engineer we hired in that 2 month period had to be hired externally. So it was
Okay.
mostly the manual coverage we were grabbing from
Yeah.
internal. Yeah, we had to go out and get that skill set externally.
Ah, fair enough. Brilliant. All right. So, like I said, Lee, your mindset is hugely positive. I know that you have a very, very can-do attitude. Like I said, probably one of the most positive people that I've met. But how does that mindset shape the way you respond to your team and the challenges? Because, yeah, as positive as you can be, there are days, right? There are times when things get challenging. How do you respond?
Yeah, so realistic expectations, I think, it's always key to lay that out up front. So we cannot do this in the way you're asking in this amount of time, those kind of things. And I always share my work in real time as well. So if I'm being asked to work on a document or something, I will share that with all of the stakeholders, and they will see a blank document, and they
Yeah.
will see me in real time writing that document. Because I don't want to, I use ship analogies a lot, but I don't want to be sailing in the wrong direction for too long. I
No.
want to course correct if something's going wrong. So people can see that, they're engaged with it, and there's constant check-ins, checking with the team, checking with my managers, right, just
Yeah.
to make sure we're all on the right page.
No, brilliant. And then how do you, so you're saying that you do that cross-functionally as
Mhm.
well as within the team itself?
Yeah,
Yeah, brilliant. Okay.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And what about when you have senior stakeholders that probably haven't got the capacity to watch you do things real time? How do you manage their expectations?
Well, we would set up meetings and things in that case. I would try and find time with them.
Okay.
If not, there are many ways to do it. Again, it's hard to get time, but sharing a channel in Slack or whatever, or emailing regular updates and things. There are always ways to inform people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And keep them informed, right? Keep them
Mhm.
updated. Brilliant. Okay. And Lee, so thinking about some of those challenges, and again, I know I'm concentrating quite a lot on high pace and fast growth, and I think the environment is like that at the moment. I think every company I'm speaking to is definitely fast paced. What's one piece of advice you'd offer to somebody that's going into a leadership position to kind of maintain themselves in a sustainable way?
I think as a leader, yes, you bring the vision. Yes, have that high level view and all that sort of stuff. But once you put the plans in place and once you do have the buy-in from people, if you really, really want it to work, then roll your sleeves up and be seen on the front lines, right?
Mm,
Don't just sit there and have a cup of tea. Well, everyone's working hard. You're there as well on that front line. To me, leadership isn't, a role above somebody. It's another role within the team that somebody has to be that strategic manager and that people
mm.
person. But it's no different. Everyone is just as valuable at getting that outcome. So my advice, just be there, be seen, get in
Yeah.
front of it.
Yeah, and we struggle, right? In tech, we often struggle because some people are heads down, right? They like to get the technical work done. So I guess the be seen can be done in multiple ways. Yeah, yeah. And I'm just wondering, actually, from your own path, Lee, did you get to a point where you were at a crossroads between becoming more of an IC versus a leader?
Yes, I did. So for the first few years, it was a bit 50-50, but at some point you become 80-20,
Yeah,
80% management, 20% hands-on. Um, and what I tend to do, if you have the time, I haven't actually found the time in the last few years, but if you do have the time, I think of it like a pendulum, right? It
yeah.
swings left and it swings right. If you could find the time, start focus on some more technical stuff and start actually getting involved. Do some test cases in
Mm,
from my role. Do some tests. Get involved.
mm,
Almost be an undercover boss in a way. You actually get in those trenches.
yeah.
Um, you'll spot things and you'll improve things. But yes, there is a point where
Mm.
it becomes incredibly difficult to do that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Especially when, like, as we said, if you're working across doing QA for hardware as well as software as well as firmware, that's a lot of cognitive load in terms of
Mhm.
the coverage that you have. How do you stay on top of all of that, Lee? That nuance?
So I'm at the point now where there are various aspects of my role that I don't fully understand, but I've
Mm,
hired people that I do trust to be able to get that job done. You have to trust them. Do not
yeah.
micromanage. Set some goals, but let them find the way to achieve those things. It's covering compliance. now,
Yeah,
regulations, hardware, software, and there's all sorts of new technologies on the horizon. I
absolutely.
cannot be across it all. Nobody could.
No,
But yeah, you need to rely on very key people within your team.
absolutely. No, and that trust is so important, isn't it, as well? And my final question, Lee, to you is, what are some of the techniques you use personally to create a sustainable mindset?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, for myself, as in reflective, I don't know. I think it's key for me anyway. It's key to get that downtime. So, you know, you spend 8 hours a day working, you spend 8 hours a day at play, and you
Yeah.
spend 8 hours a day asleep, basically. Well, that work doesn't you don't want that to feel like work. You want that to be quite a fun place to be. So
Mm,
I guess I'll make it fun, well, as fun as possible. People might argue for this and say it's not very fun, but I'll try to make work as fun as possible. You know, work hard, play hard type of philosophy. So you can have a laugh and you can have a joke with your team. They're all professional in my
yeah.
point of view. They're all professionals and they will get that work done. And it's important to take time every day for yourself. If you're whether you're reading or writing, I like to read and write, or even play games, whatever it might be. Take dogs for a walk, whatever it is. Get that downtime, almost reset for the next day.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how I keep positive. If I don't get that, I will be grumpy.
Brilliant. No, that's so important. Thank you so much, Lee. Any other words of wisdom for anybody on their kind of QA tech career? Any highlights of your career so far?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just end it by saying, you know, always look after your team. Don't hold on to things very tightly. You know, trust the people you've hired. Do not micromanage, and always praise good work where you see it. Right? Don't take any of the ownership or credit for yourself. You don't need to. As a leader, I don't feel like that's really your role. You are to build other people up. Good leaders make good leaders. So that should be your number one priority.
Brilliant, brilliant parting words. Thank you so much, Lee, for being on the show and sharing all your wisdom with us today. Much
Thank you
appreciated.
very much, Mita.
All right.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you.